The historical record of the first century contains a striking contradiction. The men who spent their lives memorizing the law and the prophets, the scholars trained to identify the Messiah, were the same men who stood inches away from him and saw nothing. This occurred in Jerusalem, the seat of religious authority. The institutions here were designed to scrutinize every theological claim with surgical precision, backed by centuries of tradition and political power. When these leaders sent armed temple guards to arrest Jesus, the guards returned empty-handed. Their only explanation was that no one had ever spoken like him. These ordinary soldiers, without formal training, were the ones struck by the weight of his words. The Pharisees reacted with immediate fury. They didn't ask what the guards had heard or weigh the merits of the teaching. Instead, they mocked the guards for being deceived by a man they had already decided to reject. These experts had thousands of hours of study behind them, yet the very expertise that should have guided them toward the truth seemed to be exactly what made them immune to it. The Pharisees dismissed his legitimacy over a single geographic label, Galilee. To Jerusalem's urban elite, Galilee was a backwater of simple fishermen and laborers. Their scriptural objection was technically correct. The prophecy stated the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem. Because Jesus was known as a Nazarene from Galilee, they saw a fatal flaw in his credentials. They had already decided Jesus was a Galilean, using that assumption to filter out other possibilities. Labeling him by his residence stopped them from looking for his actual birthplace. This mental filter closed the case, prioritizing their narrative over basic factual investigation. When an intellectual elite commits to a specific narrative, they become remarkably efficient at ignoring the facts that would prove them wrong. To protect this narrative, the Pharisees weaponized their social standing, framing the debate around who was smart enough to agree. Retreating into a closed circle of self-reinforcement, their primary argument was social. Have any rulers believed in him? No. The consensus of their small group became the ultimate proof. From within this circle, they looked down at the believing public as a cursed, ignorant mob. Nicodemus was the only leader who attempted to break this cycle. He appealed to their own legal standards, asking if the law allowed them to condemn a man without first granting him a hearing to investigate his actual deeds. The group immediately turned on him. Ignoring the law, they questioned his loyalty, asking if he was also from Galilee. It was a tribal insult designed to shut down legal reasoning. When a group believes they are the sole guardians of truth, the demand for fairness is treated as a betrayal. Due process disappears when the right answer has already been decided by the inner circle. Centuries before the Pharisees met in Jerusalem, the prophet Jeremiah experienced the same wall of elite hostility. He was a lone voice speaking truth to a system that had already decided to silence him. Jeremiah realized he was being hunted in secret. He described himself as a gentle lamb led to the slaughter, suddenly aware that the people in power were quietly plotting to cut down the tree while it was still healthy. Jeremiah's experience serves as a blueprint for what was happening to Jesus. The same patterns of systemic prejudice and secret plots used against the prophet were now being deployed by the Pharisees to eliminate a threat to their authority. It is a reminder that human systems of justice are inherently fragile. Even when built on divine law, they can be corrupted by the biases of the people who run them, making them prone to crushing the very truth they claim to protect. If even the most educated legal systems can be blinded by prejudice, where can an individual look for a truly fair verdict? Both Jeremiah and the psalmist found their answer by looking past human institutions. They appealed their cases directly to a higher court, trusting God as the only judge who cannot be manipulated by social status or geographic labels. While the Pharisees judged by what they saw on the surface, the scriptures declare that God's judgment reaches deeper. He examines the isipan at damdamin, the internal landscape of the mind and the heart. To see clearly, we have to recognize the filters we've placed over our own eyes. When the systems of the world fail to be fair, there is a profound peace in the final declaration of the psalm. Panginoon, aking Diyos, pag-asa ko sa'yo'y lubos.